Hey guys, finally getting to the review on, try guessing, large Sebenza 21. It's been a while since I've done a review um, for a knife. Tons of unboxings, I realize. Um, Finally got around to doing this. Reason why it took so long is I didn't know how I wanted to do the review on this knife. Just because I did such a long two-part video on the small Sebenza, but finally decided what I'm going to do, and it's pretty much just going to be the rundown of the differences and just how this knife is in general. If you guys want to know about the fit and finish and just the class of Chris Reeve knives and just how much truth there is to that, it's all in the two-part video, the small Sebenza 21. It's the same stuff for the large, and I just can surely assume for the rest of their knives as far as like quality and fit and finish. It's going to be in that two-part video. Don't want to go ahead and be redundant and repeat myself, saying the same great things about the large, when it's true for all of them. And I think the what I said in the video for the small Sebenza 21, the two-part video there, it's all there. So this is just going to concentrate on this knife and what it succeeds at and what I think of it, versus other terms, and just how it is being an EDC. So as always, let's spit out some specs on this thing. This is a pretty big knife. The blade length is 3.625 inches. The overall length is 8.335 inches. Blade thickness, just as a small, is 0.125 inches. Um, Now the small is a 2.94 inch blade, so this is quite a bit bigger. Weight on this thing, you got to keep in mind, is fairly on the heavy side, but doesn't carry heavy. It's 4.7 ounces. When this is in your pocket, you feel it, but it's not bad, and especially when once you know like what it is. What I mean by that is just it's a solid titanium frame lock, and it's got a just over 3.5 inch blade, so it's a lot of knife. So 4.7 ounces isn't too bad, especially how thin and narrow the frame is, the whole knife as a whole. It sits in the pocket very well. Doesn't get in the way of anything in your pocket since it's so straight. No curves or anything to it. So it's just really nice to carry, very easy to carry, back pocket or front pocket. Um, Buttery smooth, especially after putting the CRK grease in there. I think part of owning the large Seb is, if I had to choose between the two, the large Sebenza and the small Sebenza, it is a very difficult decision. Honestly, the small Sebenza here is the ideal EDC. It packs a 2.94 inch blade, so just a hair under 3 inches, which is my ideal blade size. 3 inches, a little more, a little less. That is my ideal EDC blade size. The tolerances on the small are very tight. The main differences between the big and the small would be just exactly that, the big and the small. As you can see here, the cutout on the large is much bigger, the pyramid stud is much bigger, the cutout on the small is much smaller, and the pyramid stud is much smaller. So operating knives, the bigger is easier to take out and to disengage, much easier. Um, with that said, the small is not hard to take out. It's not hard to close and put back, but the large is definitely a bit easier to open and close. Um, if you have to choose between the two, or you can only afford one and you only plan on having one, a lot of people lean towards the large. And I think partially the reason why, there's a couple reasons. First reason would really be the price. I paid $330 new for this one. As my first Chris Reeve knife, I wanted the full experience of buying the knife new, and so I went ahead and put out the $330, which I do not regret at all. But once I got this and I finally, you hear it everywhere enough to believe it, but until you get it in your hand, you really don't know how high quality this knife is as far as the tight tolerances and the fit and finish. And so you can't really fully appreciate until you actually hold one and play with it a bit. Um, Now for the large, same thing goes as far as quality and whatnot, but um, just the price difference. Brand new, $330 for the small. Brand new, $385 for the large. So you're paying 55 more bucks, which is not cheap. That's a whole nother knife. But once you're already in the $300 range, 330, adding $55 more is really nothing for how much more knife you're getting on the large versus the small. I really wish they'd make like a Sebenza medium. I mean, looking at these, like the large is much bigger than the small. I mean, just look at the blades here. We got much wider blade on the large, quite a bit longer. We got a hair under 3 inches, and then we got a blade that's just over 3.5 inches. And the blade's much wider. You get a ton more titanium due to that way bigger handle. The handle's longer, it's wider. So the pocket clips are the same. It's just the titanium slabs are also a bit thicker on the large. So if you're thinking price-wise, you feel like you're getting a lot more in the large Sebenza versus the small. So I think that would be the first reason why people may opt for the large over the small. Second reason would be a lot of people claim, if you had to choose between the two, a small knife can cut a lot, a bigger knife can cut more. And that, the argument is a big knife can cut what a small knife can cut, but a small knife can't cut what the big knife can cut. So in this case, a lot of people feel that, if you're going to get one and only one, you don't have money for two, or you don't think you're going to end up with two, to opt for the large, because the large can do what the small can do, but, can't do vice versa. Honestly, like I said, 3 inches is all I need for all my cutting tasks, and I really don't think I have any tasks I can think of, even an emergency situation, that this knife couldn't tackle. But I feel, that mindset of a big knife can cut anything the small can, it's just, another reason to just go with what a lot of people feel might be the better buy due to, the price range, the price ratio. Do have to say, if I did have to choose between the two, it may be the large, and like I said, because of prices, like I said, I spent $330 new on this because I wanted to buy new for the first Chris Reeve, just to get the full experience. The large, I spent $320 on this. Spent $10 less than this, and I got, what a lot of people feel, and I feel, a lot more for the money as far as materials go. More blade, more titanium, blah, 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 blah. But, I bought it used. And, buying CRKs used is a good way to go. For your first one, I'd say go new, just to have the experience. But honestly, like, operating used, like, they work just as if they're new. They feel just as good as new, just about. I mean, other than just, the minor scuffs on the titanium that you're going to see, or, possibly, used blade, it's not going to be as sharp as it comes out of the box, unless the person who had it before you was, an expert at sharpening. But I mean, other than that, like, buying used is not a problem, and you get a lot for it. I spent less, and I got, what looks to be way more. And, I don't regret either purchase. I don't regret buying this new. Large Sebenza, just like I said, all really good carrying knife. The knives I have here on display, the Sage 2 is really just an example of my ideal EDC. Like the Ergos, it's just, just extension of the hand. I love the choking capability of that finger choil. 3-inch blade, or just under 3 inches. Goes to show you don't need, a little more, a little less. Like I said, this is just under 3-inch cutting edge. And just is really my ideal EDC size, so that's why I have this here. And the small comes pretty close. Sage 2 is a little bit bigger, wider all around. The Sebenza is much slimmer, but I mean, the blade on this is actually, the cutting edge at least, is a bit longer than that of the Sage, even. Now, in comparison to the large here, so Sebenza large, that is bigger than my regular EDC, but it fits so slim, and these two also fit in the category of just fitting slim and having big blades. Spyderco Military, which I just acquired, has a 4-inch blade. Handle is really big. Now, as you can see, the Military actually shrinks the Sebenza, handle-wise and blade-wise. So you can see a little bit of a comparison there, that the Military is quite a bit bigger. And then, of course, we have the Benchmade 710 here. And then comparing that there with the Sebenza, the 710 is also a bit bigger. But as you can see, the large Sebenza fits in a bigger knife category. And I don't carry big knives often. Out of my collection, these 3 knives are the biggest in my collection. And they all carry very slim and comfortable without any interruptions in the pocket of other stuff. And yeah, so these are basically my opinions and thoughts of the large Sebenza 21. Excellent EDC. If you can afford a Sebenza, you know, it's really up to you. Honestly, for me, like I thought I'd be fine with just a small, but you know, once you get a Sebenza in your hand, you want more, and so I did end up getting a large. And I guess personally, if I had to, I probably would go with a large if I thought that was going to be my only CRK. But I mean, like I said, once you get one in your hand, you're probably going to want the small too, and you know, we're knife nuts. That's how it's going to be. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Chris Reeve, large Sebenza 21. Awesome knife.